How are you guys doing? This is from last week's Torah portion, Parashat Shoftim. The information's in the description below. Last week was Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 18 through 21, verse 9. Well, that's why I was able to complete it with a little bit of time to go. It was short. When I got to the end of the Torah portion, I thought something feels like it's wrong. I don't feel tortured enough. I mean, bodily anyway. Mentally it's always awesome. But this is from a great post by Rabbi Avigdor Miller from last week. Or actually, I think it was posted the end of the week. I saved it because it had to do with last week's Torah portion, Parashat Shoftim. Shoftim, the Shotrim. Judges and officers shall you appoint for yourselves in all the cities which the Lord your God gives you. One of the Rabbi Avigdor Miller students asks about can an Orthodox Jew practice criminal law as a defense counselor or a prosecutor or a judge? Rabbi Avigdor Miller answers, an Orthodox Jew can surely practice criminal law as a prosecutor or a judge. No question about that, because he is administering the laws of the land, which, as long as they don't go outright against the Torah, it's good to do. Well, that's a side note, but and therefore what he's doing is according to the law of the Torah. We have to fulfill the laws of the land within certain parameters. If they go outright, we have to go against them with everything we possibly can, like marrying men with men and various other things. Can you practice as a defense counsel? That's a big question, because bribery blinds people, and the biggest bribe is your fee. Besides, you want to succeed, and therefore a lawyer spends years and years allowing his mind to be crippled by his fees just to defend his clients. That's the very worst one to appoint as a judge. When he becomes a judge, he's a ruined man. His conscience does not exist. That's why judges are all criminals. I'm not exaggerating. The judges are all criminals. If you want a real judge, you should go out on the street and look for an Italian construction gang. It could be a Polish construction gang too. I happen to like Italians. The Polish are anti-Semites. Take an Italian construction fellow and put him up there with a black robe, and believe me, he'll administer justice. If he doesn't know law, get an expert in law to advise him on the law, someone who never practiced it. There should be a certain career, expert advisors, to advise the Italian judges on what the law says. With the man to judge, it has to be someone with a conscience. It should be a plain goy, a working man, a blue-collar goy. He'll be a better judge because the lawyers are all criminals. You can't help being a criminal. You pay to defend criminals, and therefore when you finally become a judge, your mind is crooked and warped. That's why the defense lawyers who become judges, they're all reshaim gemurim. They're like massively wicked people. All of them. This can't be helped. Bribery blinds you. And the link to Torah Avigdor Miller's website is in the bottom of the description to the specific post as well. But the verse in the 5 books of Moses that Avigdor kept quoting is from Parashat Shoftim last week. It's the second verse in the parasha. The first verse is, "Judges and officers shall you appoint in all the cities which the Lord your God gives you when you enter the land." That was the first verse is chapter 16, verse 18 in Deuteronomy. The verse that Rav Avigdor Miller quotes is Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 19. "You shall not pervert judgment. You shall not respect persons, neither take a bribe, for bribery blinds the eyes of the wise and perverts the words of the righteous." And as we've been learning in Rabbi Reuben's lectures, bribery is much, much more than money. Like we were learned a few weeks back in Parashat Akiv. It's most of chapter 7 through, I think, chapter 11 or 12, give or take. The biggest, most dangerous bribe is our own desires. It brings an awesome insight from just the one Hebrew word, ekev, reward. God wants to give us a reward. But Rabbi Reuben's Rabbi Rav Ephraim Kaklon, he brought this kiddush, this insight that's just amazing about how he spells out all the letters that make up the word ekev, and then like if you take out the first letters that spell the word, and then you take out the numerical value, the hey, I think it's hey involved, the numerical value for God's name. If you take out that, all that's left is the first letters of Notrim, philosophy, and Tavot, Nunpei Tav. Rabbi Reuben says those three things, Christianity, philosophy, and desires, are the things that will block a person from receiving God's reward that he wants to give us. He says that all those, they're all dangerous. We said nothing is more dangerous than our own desires. Like we learned earlier this year in Parashat Mishpatim, right after God gives the nation the Torah at Mount Sinai, the most important court that the only one we all really only have control of is our own body, our own actions, our own mind, our own heart. That is the only court of judgment that we can maintain any semblance of honesty. Most people don't want to work at that, though. They want to blame someone else for being corrupt. It's like it's their fault. It's everyone else's to blame for everything that's wrong in their life and in the world. And that is absolute lies, 100% lies. Everything that's wrong is my fault and your fault. It's our fault. And the only ones that can fix it is us. By looking in the mirror and digging down deep, bending our rotten heart. And part of that process is ripping it in half this month. Well, God opens the windows of heaven and pours out the assistance and mercy for everyone who hears the call of the shofar. which is not nearly enough people. Not nearly enough. You guys want to talk about this week's Torah portion? Or maybe more of a being a corrupt judge. You know, it's real easy to like blame other people, and the Yetzirah, like even when you know someone is like going against God and doing things that are against God and they're dooming them to hell. Constantly, the Yetzirah, Satan, the evil inclination, is trying to get us to make that our sole focus. Like it's everyone else that's wicked, and we're doing so great. We're just out to save the world, and you know we've fixed ourselves to the point where everything's fine, and we can just not even think about that anymore. And that is so wrong, so wrong. I mean, sure, there's lots of people that need to learn and you know do something, but always our main priority is the guy in the mirror or the person in the mirror if you're not a guy. Constant self accounting. What is my motivation for what I'm doing? Like even if my actions line up with what God wants, are they pure? Like what is the real motive? That's why I really don't like talking about other people at all. One, because it's just not good to talk about other people. What's the other reason is that I a lot of times I don't feel like my motivations are 100% pure. I'm sure that's probably not possible. But I'm a jealous person. Got a lot of work to do. Last week's Torah portion had guidance for war. This week's Torah portion is more laws of war, at least a little bit. This week is, I can't remember what the whole thing is. Teitzei milkama, when you shall go out to war, or some other Hebrew word, but I can't remember what it is after milkama. Milkama is war. War. This is the Torah portion that Rabbi Reuben went over like a month or two ago in the Jewish Intimacy series, where he talked about how King David cries in Psalms, begging God for his forgiveness, like asking him what he did wrong to deserve two evil sons. One was a rapist that raped his stepsister, and the other one was a murderer, or at least attempted murder. He tried to kill his own dad. What did he do? Let's say that God told him that it was because he took the captive woman from this week's Torah portion in Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse, I guess, 12 through 14 or 11 through 14 or something like that. Where, yes, God gives an allowance, to take a wife who, under any other circumstances for a Jew, would be completely forbidden, because the law is talking about a non-Jewish woman, which is 100% forbidden. There is no permission for goyim and God's kids to mix and match, and the consequences physically in this world and spiritually for eternity are the most horrendous things for both of them. Just complete and utter destruction. But just because God says that something is allowed doesn't mean it's a good idea. And the sages say that we always have to pay attention to the proximity of verses. Like, anytime there's a passage, we have to look at what came before it and what came after it. And so the sages say that God told David and King David that he should have read the rest of the passage after the laws of the beautiful captive woman. Next is the hated wife, and then the rebellious son. So let's say basically God's telling you, if you take the captive woman and marry her, eventually she will come to be the hated wife, and she will bear you a rebellious son that you will have to, or you or the court or the judges, the righteous judges, will have to execute, because he's so horrendous. Because the act of conceiving the child was not done in holiness. It was done with purely animalistic desires. And so it didn't bring down a holy soul into the world. It brought down some twisted, mangled, mutant soul that lives a torture life, that needs to learn a lot of Torah in order to overcome all that rotten evil. There's so much in this week's Torah portion. I just finished it like an hour ago, reading the verses. I haven't really gone into commentary yet. There's tons of commandments, mitzvot, that are given. A lot of them are repetitions mentioned earlier from, like most of them are mentioned in like Leviticus, the ones that are repetitions. There's some new ones though. Oh, and one I think was at the end of this week's Torah portion is mentioned in Exodus, the end of the book of Exodus. There's certain things that God finds an abomination. The one that almost everyone knows, and knows any kind of Old Testament is, homosexuality is an abomination according to God. It's pretty stupid to get mad at God. Lots of people do it. There are other things that God finds an abomination. Idol worship is one of them. Especially certain kinds of idol worship are just absolutely repulsive. But this week, in this week's Torah portion, we learned that dishonesty in business, God finds an absolute abomination. It's really amazing, the thief, the burglar, that outright just steals what is not his. God, a Jew that steals, all they have to do is pay back. If no one finds out and they just decide to do teshuvah, they don't even have to pay anything extra. Just pay back the money and say you're sorry and ask for forgiveness. And if they find out, then all they got to pay is double. A goy gets the death penalty, a Gentile, if they're caught before they return whatever it is they stole. If they're not caught, then obviously this is talking about before the second temple was destroyed, when there was still a Sanhedrin. Now everything is a heavenly death penalty, which for some reason most people find more comforting, which is ridiculous. But such is the state of people's deranged priorities, where we think that, because there's no human being to chase after us and hold us accountable, therefore, and God is extremely patient. We don't see people just getting decapitated and burned and crushed and strangulated left and right 24 hours a day. Therefore, we think that, we don't need to be scared of God. We need to be terrified, because that's the only way we'll not commit sins. The only way we won't destroy the world, just rip it to shreds and light it on fire ourselves. Mostly God doesn't even need to do anything to light stuff on fire and burn it. But a thief is not an abomination to God. But when someone is deceptive in their business practices, when they skim a little off the top, when they, like Rabbi Rubin says, when they sell used products as new, the laws of honest business are like super complex. And what is what is stealing according to God is way more than what people think. It's not just like money or stuff. It's ideas and people's minds, like stealing their time, like deceiving them, stealing honor for yourself, or not correcting someone when they give you honor and you don't deserve it. Like someone says, "Oh, good job on that." You're like, "I didn't do anything. What are you talking about?" And you don't correct, like, if it was someone else that did whatever it was, and they're like giving you a bunch of honor, like, "Oh, you're so great. You're so smart. You're so talented." And you don't say, you don't tell them the truth. That's theft. Stealing someone's sleep. Well, first the things we need to worry about are like real physical theft, stealing money and property, and doing a damage that the other party is fully aware of. That's the primary thing we have to stop first. And once we stop, then we got to fix all that. Now is the time to do that. God is giving us all a massive opportunity every single second of every day, but especially for the next about 26 or 7 days till Rosh Chodesh Tishrei in September 16th. I was thinking about how far we've come in the last year. Like what I was like what I was trying to help people with last year compared to like what I could actually do versus this year is like just a staggering drastic difference of, I mean, one last year I should have known this. I mean, I did. I just like conveniently forgot. But wishful thinking mostly. Goyim don't get an appeal, and we don't get complete atonement on Yom Kippur. All we get is till Rosh Hashanah, so we have to make the very most of it. Rambam says regarding Teshuvah in general, but specifically the month of Elul and the time approaching Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that the shofar, the sound of the shofar, is supposed to awaken people and break our hearts to realize that we've been zombies, we've been slumbering from true reality, the reality that our actions have a great weight and consequence, and that we must wake up and return to God. Repent from our evil deeds. The only way to really do that, past the just very basic acknowledgement of all the things that we all know that we did wrong or do wrong, at least to some degree, is by learning the 5 books of Moses, listening to Rabbi Reuben's lectures, studying it over and over again, and then doing everything that it says. Like, learn and do. That's the whole point. There's no point in learning anything if it's not going to be put into action. Because like Rabbi Reuben mentioned in last week's Stump the Rabbi 175, I think. Yeah, 175. Stump the Rabbi 175 in the Q&A. The whole point is to apply what we learn. And if a goy goes and learns things that they're forbidden from learning, or they cannot apply, they have no intention to apply, then they will be for surely punished because they're arrogant and they're foolish and they're guaranteed they're committing tons of sins and they will not do teshuvah on their present course of action. They will not repent unless they stop and wake up, learn what applies to us, and then do it. That's why non-Jews are not supposed to learn the Talmud. I mean, the amazing thing is, if we just do what the sages say, do what the rabbi says, there's always a permissible stuff that we can do, that we need to do. Like we can't learn the old Torah, the Talmud, and yet we can. We can learn Musar. We can learn Pirkei Avot, because it's all Musar. And we can learn the commentary in the Chumash on the 5 books of Moses. That's all old Torah. The basic commentary, anyway. Like the Rashi or the Art Scroll. But everyone has an evil inclination. Everyone lets the Satan fool them into trying to jump 1 or 10 or 100 steps ahead of where they really are, and learn things that are way above their pay grade or that don't even apply to them or never will. And they either don't go anywhere, like they don't get any kind of spiritual growth. They just stay the same angry, evil monster. Well, they know a whole bunch of stuff in their head, but they aren't using any of it. Not in any remote way of what it's supposed to be used for. Because there's a process to everything. And absolutely nothing works right if a person skips steps. You can't just be like, I'm going to do step 1 and then step 20 and then step 87 and then step 500. I'm just going to park it. You have to go 1 step at a time. 1 foot in front of the other. And you have to beat up the Satan all the time, constantly. Tell them to shut up and go do your job somewhere else. I know it's your job. I know you're fulfilling God's will, but so am I. Most people in life do not ever realize what what the evil inclination is. I don't even think most people even realize that there's a competing force within them. I think most people are so ingrained in their behavior, which is committing sins, that the internal dialogue is just 100% the Yetzirah, 100% the evil inclination. And the occasional times where the good inclination, may raise a peep, it's so quiet that they can't even hear it. And so when a lot of people hear about this kind of stuff, they think, sounds like bipolar disorder. Let's say just say, nope. God, this is how God made people. We have two hearts. I mean, not two physical hearts, but what the Torah calls a heart, like our desires. One side is a desire for physicality and physical gratification, and like all the base character flaws, pretty much, like lust and like physical intimacy and food and sleep and like power and honor and everything that's completely worthless, mostly, except for sleep and food and intimacy to bring a child to the world. Everything else is largely garbage. Then there's the Yetzer Tov, our good inclination, which all it wants to do is serve God, do God's will, learn Torah and fulfill it. To talk about God, to learn about God, to share, what and who God is with other people, to honor our parents, to help other people see the truth, not to steal, not to lie, to be honest in our business dealings, to bring righteous children to the world and teach them the same thing, teach them Torah, so they can fulfill God's will, and so the world can be an amazing, amazing place. At the end of this week's Torah portion is right after the laws of honest business, is the mitzvah of remembering Amalek and what he did to you. How he happened upon you when you came up out of Egypt, and that he didn't fear God. Let's say those two things they go together The Torah uses very, very specific words. The 5 books of Moses, like in the original holy language of God, the Hebrew, scriptural Hebrew, uses very specific language. And when it says happened upon, that means literally like, just by chance. The sages say that that's the attitude of Amalek. Everything is just a random occurrence. They don't see God anywhere. They don't fear God. Everything's just a happenstance. And so they happened upon the children of Israel as they went up out of Egypt, and God freed them from the Egyptian slavery. And they attacked and cut off the hindmost, the weaklings who were far from the Mishkan, far from the tabernacle, far from Moshe Rabbeinu, far from Moses and all the Torah scholars. The Torah says that when honest business is good, it leads to being long and leading a good life in the land. When a person doesn't engage in honest business, then they get vomited from the land and Amalek attacks. You guys get any good books lately? I stopped procrastinating. Baruch Hashem. I ordered a couple books. I wanted to get a small paperback version of Path of the Just, but all I had was a pocket-sized hardback, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is what it is. The commentaries say that Path of the Just, Meselat Yesharim, is like it's like the Torah itself, like the 5 books of Moses. There is, like, you read the verses and it seems pretty simple, but as the commentary points out, that there's like just one word, like a couple weeks ago, Akev. There's infinite depth. And the commentary on Mesillat Yesharim says that it's like this book is the same way. It's by the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. The author says, I have written this book not to teach people what they do not know, but rather to remind them of what they already know and clearly understand. For within most of my words, you will find general rules that most people know with certainty. However, to the degree that these rules are well known and their truth self-evident, they are routinely overlooked, or people forget about them altogether. That is very true. People think they know stuff. We don't know anything at all. We don't know anything. At least not yet. We don't know. We may have some idea. But getting to the level of knowledge is a couple steps away. First, we have to compile information. And in order for our information to be compiled and stored properly, we have to fear God. And if we fear God, we will do what He says, and that includes listening to the sages. And all of it says, don't waste seed and refine our character traits. Only then, by doing that stuff and fearing God, only then can we get any wisdom and then move on from there. Therefore, the benefit to be obtained from this work cannot be derived from a single reading, for it is possible that after just one reading, the reader will find that he has learned little and that he did not know before. Rather, its benefit is a function of continuous review. In this manner, one is reminded of those things which by nature people are prone to forget, and he will take to heart the duty that he tends to overlook. Almost everywhere you look in the world today, you find that the majority of bright and clever people are devoting their thinking and investigations to a profound analysis of worldly knowledge and its subtleties, each according to his intellectual capabilities and his natural inclinations. That's pretty much what I used to do. Just whatever I wanted, without any kind of real focus, or other than the only thing I really focused any amount of time on consistently over a period of time was getting high and drunk. And how to be a better drug addict. Baruch Hashem, I'm not anywhere near that anymore. Thank God. Drugs and alcohol are such evil. You guys know that you're not allowed to learn Torah or pray if you're drunk or high. There are some who focus their efforts on the study of the physical world and the laws of nature. Others immerse themselves in astronomy and geometry, and some follow the path of technological applications like 3D printing machine gun parts and making explosives from easily obtained precursors bought off Amazon. And there are also those who have entered the realm of the sacred and are studying the Holy Torah, some occupying themselves with the theoretical aspects of the Halakha, others with Midrash, and yet others with practical formulation of legal decisions. The result of this attitude is that true piety is unknown. That's what the shoulder commentary says. Oh, I skipped a page. However, there are few from this last group who choose to devote thought and study to the total perfection of the divine service, to love the eternal, the fear of the eternal, the cleaving to the eternal, and to all the other aspects of piety. It is not as if they consider these aspects of knowledge unessential, for if questioned, every one of them will maintain that they are of paramount importance, and that one cannot envision a truly wise person who has not comprehended all of these issues. Rather, their failure to devote more attention to the matter stems from its being so clear and so obvious to them that they see no need for investing much time in its study. Consequently, the study of this subject and the reading of works of this kind have become the province of those whose minds lack subtlety and who are mentally sluggish. These you will see riveted to the study of piety, and this has given rise to the prevalent idea that anyone striving for piety is suspected of being dull-witted. I feel like that guy. Or the description of this type of person. The result of this attitude, however, is detrimental both for those who possess wisdom and for those who do not, since it leaves both deficient in true piety and makes this quality extremely rare. Those who possess wisdom are deficient in piety due to their limited study of it, while the uneducated find it beyond their grasp. Piety, therefore, is construed by people to consist of the reciting of many psalms, making very long confessions, undertaking difficult fasts, and performing ablutions in ice and snow, all of which are incompatible with intellect and reason. In the process, true piety, which we desire and strive for, eludes our understanding, for it is obvious that something which does not occupy a place in a person's mind becomes of no concern to him. And although the beginnings and foundations of piety are inbred in the heart of every truthful person, every honest judge, that was my own sidebar, if he does not utilize them, he will lose the ability to discern their details, and he will pass over them without awareness. Mesilat Yesharim is a Musar Sefer, a book of character development. In the Tanakh, the what you may know as the Old Testament, the 5 books of Moses and the prophets and the writings, the word Musar is often translated as instruction, or sometimes in the more honest translations, it will be translated as what was the word? It was from the stream last couple weeks ago. Admonish, to admonish, admonishment, rebuke. The entire book of Deuteronomy. We're almost finished with the 5 books of Moses. Torah is so awesome. Literally nothing better. Nothing. At least when you apply it with God's help, of course. Nobody's here. I'm just going to ramble for a while about, since nobody's here. You know, I want to. I've had to give myself a reality check on my goals. And when I was honest with myself, when I first started doing these, I knew there was no way I could help everyone. I wanted to help the whole world, whatever God would help me to do, even though I had no real clue how or what that even meant, other than getting people to understand that God is real and He's severely not pleased with the world, and that we need to change a lot, like a lot of people, like all of us, need to change a lot. That was all I knew. Now I've come to the sad realization that more than likely most people are not going to change. Most likely people are going to just make excuses after excuses after excuses, or not even get that far. Maybe just completely dismiss absolutely every word of truth and tell themselves that it can't be that complex or that simple or that brutal. Or just don't want to hear it, just don't want to do anything. I'm just going to keep doing whatever I want, practicing third wave Cartmanism. But I know there's at least one more person out there. Maybe that's you, whoever you are. God would like us all to see the truth, but God's not a communist. God runs the world like a business. And although, in some respects, he's like a pretty lackadaisical boss. He gives people years and decades to just slack off and sleep in the break room and go on smoke breaks and do all kinds of horrendous things to themselves and the world, waiting to one day maybe you're going to wake up, decide that you're sick of all the nonsense and garbage that you filled your life with. Maybe today is the day he's going to change, or she's going to change, or whoever. Maybe today is the day. Maybe. I have all these ideas and outlines, partially in my head and partially in notes, for pretty much why everything that Doug is planning and that he talked about is not going to work. I don't know if I have the merit to even like talk to nobody there on these streams, or let alone that anyone will listen and, you know, do the work to figure it out themselves, because that's the real thing. The way the truth works, you can't accept the truth. You have to work for it. Someone can't tell you the truth and just be like, oh, now it makes sense, and now I can just, you know, now I have the key and I can go on with my life, and now I'm going to heaven. Now I can have a good life. It doesn't work like that. One, because Amalek will attack you. If you don't learn all the little Amalekites, all the people that happen upon, you know, everyone really, that don't fear God, that have just infected themselves in the world with doubt of everything regarding God and the truth. They'll come and attack you and be like, you believe that? Why do you believe that? That's stupid, or that's insane, or, you know, doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just do whatever you want to? Why don't you just do this? Why don't you just believe in that? This is so much easier. You know, your parents do this, or your family does this, or your wife does that. Why do you want to disagree? And they're going to just attack you constantly. And if you're just have your training wheels on and you're not constantly learning and trying to create a buffer zone, like building a fence and keeping all the evil out, which is unfortunately a lot of people that we all know, until you get like a defense mechanism of Torah that you've toiled over for a while, all those people are going to come and they're going to crumble everything that you thought you knew, all the, you know, little bits of truth that you told yourself that you accepted. It's all going to fall to dust, and you're going to have so many doubts. Oh, everything's going to turn black. And if you don't immediately start reading the Torah portion and immediately start listening to Rabbi Ruben's lectures, like run to the book, run to the computer, run to your phone, pop in your headphones and start just listening. I'm working, taking notes. Like, what is going on? God, please help us. Please help us to learn and to know, like really know the truth. We have to fight for every scrap. If we don't burn these certain things into our souls, when those Amalekites attack, they're going to decimate us in our whatever connection with God that we thought we had. That is why we have to learn every single day, every day, as much as humanly possible. I know it's hard at first because you don't really realize the value of what the Torah is, and the Yetzirah is still trying to drag you in 50 different directions, all away from God and away from the Torah, and get you to do any other kind of nonsense or anything other than learn, especially to, anything other than taking it super, very serious. I posted a comment in the Keybase group a while ago where I said, all the, like, any problem in life, the Torah will, like, I know that I have the tools. I know exactly where to go to figure out whatever problem I encounter in life. I know exactly where to go. Go read the weekly Torah portion. Go listen to Rabbi Reuben's lecture. Learn Musar. Pray to God. Ask Him for help. And for most stuff, to inspect my own deeds, my own actions. Like, am I doing good, or am I a faker, like Rabbi Reuben says? Am I following what I learn, or am I just a faker? Like, do I honor my parents, or do I do it kind of? And like this week and last week, prove to anyone that read the Torah portion with the commentary is especially valuable in war, whether it's a physical war or a spiritual war for our souls, or a war for the truth. Torah's got all the wisdom that we need to be able to survive and live. So sad that barely anyone knows that. God help us all, please. I'm gonna get going. I know it's highly unlikely that very many people are going to listen to this, and almost impossible that anyone's going to listen all the way to the end. But if you're still here, I hope you're starting to take things seriously. At least if you're new, considering what I've been talking about. We have to work. We have to work. We have to work. We have to work. Man was made to toil. We can toil in nonsense and physicality and sins. We can toil in fulfilling God's will. There's no middle ground. There's no coasting. There's no neutral. There's no, like, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines. And like Robert Rubin says, it's not true because I say it's true or because he says it's true. It's true because you do it and you see. Just start learning, start applying what you learn. And like if you the more serious you take it, the earlier on, literally the more miracles and divine assistance God will give you. And then you'll know. But you can never stop, not ever. But as soon as you stop, everything just shrinks up and goes away. God gave us all the recipe, the roadmap, the manual for life. It's just most people don't actually receive it because they don't want it. If a person really wants the truth, like really with all their heart and all their soul, if they desire the truth, if they really want God, God will rearrange the world. And he'll plop the Torah right in your lap. Because that is the only truth. Everything else is 100% garbage. So do you want the truth? You got to ask yourself and answer that question. And start using your head. But for the stuff that's in there to actually get anywhere functional, to do any good, you gotta be scared of punishment. You gotta be scared of God and the consequences for your actions. But God grant us all the strength and the wisdom to outsmart and overpower Satan and to see the truth and fear him, to fear sin and run from evil and do good in that order. But everything has a proper order. Baruch Hashem, we're finally starting to figure that out. Took us long enough.